Hey, what's going on everyone, this is iReviews back with another video, and today we're talking about iOS 18 and I will show you guys a few different tips and tricks that will help you fix the battery drain issues on your iPhone running the new iOS 18. Of course, with these initial updates, there's always a worse battery life and it tends to improve in the next updates, but if you're on iOS 18 right now, here are more than 20 tips and tricks that will help you get a better battery life on your iPhone. Now, the first thing you will have to do is actually just wait. If you have just installed iOS 18, and this has also been confirmed by Apple, when you install a big update on your device, you will have to wait for 3 to 4 days for the update to settle in on your device, and then you can expect to get a better battery life. And also, if you have updated to the betas of iOS 18, make sure that you have gone out of beta. Make sure that you have the RC version of iOS 18 installed on your device. So head on to your settings, under general, go under software update, and make sure that you're no longer on the betas and you have updated your device to the latest release. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have your apps up to date. Now, when a big release like this one comes out, most of the apps will be also releasing updates to better be compatible with the new update. So make sure you have all of your apps up to date. Go to your account under the App Store app and make sure you refresh this page and see if all of your apps have already been updated. Now, when it comes to apps, another thing I suggest you do is head on to the settings app and then go under the battery section, and right here you will see a list of apps that are consuming the most battery on your iPhone. Now, if you see an app there that you have been using a lot and it's at the top right here, of course it should be there because you have used it quite a lot. But if you see an app that you rarely use but it's still right here is consuming a ton of battery, that's a poorly coded app. Make sure you remove that from your device and just find a replacement, find a better app, a better alternative for what that app does. And now let's talk about some new features of iOS 18, which if you don't actually need, it's better to turn off because they will drain the battery. And one of them that I have tested out is vocal shortcuts, and you can find it here under the accessibility settings. You scroll down here and there you have vocal shortcuts. So by enabling this, it allows you to just say any of these words to perform an action. It's actually pretty easy to set up. You tap on add action, you just set up the shortcut that you want to use, and you choose here what action you want to perform. Now, the feature is pretty cool, but it consumes battery. I've tried it, it does consume battery, and it keeps the microphone on most of the time. So it displays that orange dot right there on the status bar, which indicates that it's using the microphone waiting for your command. Even though you're not using the feature currently, it will still use your microphone. Another very useful feature that Apple has added to iOS 18, which of course will be useful for a ton of people, is eye tracking. Now, of course, if you're someone that actually needs this feature, you can set it up right here simply by enabling it. But if you don't actually need the feature, make sure you disable it. Don't keep it on your device because it does consume CPU power, that way also consuming a ton of battery, and it requires right here for the authenticator to always keep track of your face and of course your eyes. That way it will actually just drain the battery out of your iPhone. Another feature that Apple has added with iOS 18 is the new vehicle motion cues. You enable it and it shows a few dots right here on your screen. Basically, those will follow the movement of your car and might help you reduce motion sickness if you have that problem. But of course, it does consume battery. So if you don't really need the feature, make sure you don't turn it on. And here we have another one here under accessibility. It is called Music Haptics. Now, what it does, when you enable it, it will give you a haptic feedback based on the music that you're playing. And we all know that the haptic engine does drain the battery of an iPhone. So it is of course a feature that someone might need. If you need that feature on your device, you can enable it from here. Otherwise, don't enable it just for fun. Now, when it comes to haptics, there are a few settings here that you should actually change. Go to sounds and haptics right there. Now, first of all, you will have haptics here. You can choose where you want to play haptics on your device. I'd suggest that you actually choose play in silent mode, which means that when your device is on silent, it will play your haptics so you don't miss any call or notifications. Otherwise, don't keep it on always play, because when you have the sound on or off, it will always play haptics, that way consuming a ton of battery. And then down here we also have like feedback for your keyboard. So if you have enabled the haptic here and the sound, just know that it will also drain the battery. Not probably a lot, but it will consume battery more than it should, so you can go ahead and disable it from here. Another feature here under accessibility settings is sound recognition. Now, this is a feature that will basically alert you when it hears a few sounds that you can enable and select the sounds from here. Well, if you don't really need this feature, make sure you have it turned off on your device. I always have it turned off. As you can see, it will use space on your device to download the sounds, but also any feature like this that will stay active in the background, just listening for a sound or just waiting for you to do something, you know that it does consume a ton of battery. Another thing I suggest is that you use dark mode as much as possible. On OLED displays like this one right here, using the dark mode is always the best option. All the pixels that you see right here on the screen that are totally black are pixels that are not displaying a black color, but they are turned off, which means that your iPhone screen will use way less battery. Another thing that you should make sure that you don't do all the time on your iPhone is close apps from the app switcher. Now, if you have an app that you use rarely, you can just close it out of your app switcher, but the apps that you use during the day, just leave them on the app switcher. They're there, they're ready to go. Once you need them, you can just open them and your iPhone won't actually need to completely reload the app. Otherwise, if you always close out the apps, anytime you open it, it will have to reload it from the beginning, that way consuming way more battery. And when it comes to apps, also make sure that you take a look at background app refresh. This is one of the things that your iPhone will automatically disable when you turn on low power mode. So you might as well want to do it by yourself. So go under background app refresh here under the general settings. Take a look at the apps right here. Most of these apps you don't need to be refreshing in the background, so you can just go ahead and completely turn them off. So make sure to take a look at this list and just turn off the most apps that you can. That way you will have a way better battery life on your iPhone. Now, while you're here under the general settings, take a look at also Airdrop. Now, bringing devices together was a pretty cool feature that Apple introduced with iOS 17, but you probably won't use it most of the time. But it will still be active, always like trying to share when an iPhone is close to your iPhone. That way, of course, consuming CPU power and consuming battery at the same time. So I always actually keep this off. Now, when going to accessibility here, we have under touch a pretty cool feature that was released way back. So it is called back tap. You just double tap or triple tap on the back of your iPhone and you can perform any of these actions. Well, it's a pretty cool feature. Probably it will be useful for a lot of people, but if you don't actually use it, if you have just like tried out or just set it up just to try it, make sure you go ahead and choose none here. That way you have this feature disabled on your iPhone, because most of the time you will probably launch or invoke any of these actions by mistake, and that way just consuming unnecessary battery. And now let's move on here under the privacy settings. So when you go to privacy, you will have here something called App Privacy Report. Now this feature will show you everything that the apps are using on your iPhone. The network activity, the data and the sensors, everything these apps had access on your iPhone. Now it's pretty cool. Probably a lot of people might need this and they just want to see what the apps are using on their iPhone, but it will consume a ton of battery because it's always active in the background, always collecting different data, that way also using a ton of battery. So what you need to do is just go ahead and turn it off. The same goes for Screentime. If you're not using Screentime, or if you just don't actually need it, make sure you go ahead and turn it off. So what you need to do is just go here, scroll all the way down, and if you have it enabled, you can just tap, you will see like a red label right here, just tap on it and you can go ahead and turn off Screentime. Moving on back here under the accessibility settings, find Siri here. Then we have Siri. We have a feature called Always Listen for Siri. This way your iPhone is always listening to you, waiting for that Siri command or for that hey word, so it invokes Siri. Now this will happen even though your iPhone might be in your pocket or maybe on your bag or maybe just like laying face down on your table. It will always be active, always waiting for that command. So I suggest you turn this feature off. And another one will be Rise to Wake. Now Rise to Wake is a pretty cool feature that you can find right here in the display and brightness. So there we have Rise to Wake. I also keep this feature off all the time. Now what it does, if you have it enabled, when you have your iPhone on your table, you pick it up, it will wake up the screen of your iPhone automatically, or when you take your phone out of your pocket, it will wake up the screen automatically. But of course, it has to like detect the motion of the iPhone, that way also consuming a ton of battery. Now, one of the biggest battery drainers on an iPhone are of course notifications. So I do suggest that you turn off notifications for a lot of apps, or maybe just put them on the scheduled summary. So go ahead, go under notifications and take a look at your apps. You can see here most of my apps have notifications turned off, or if I just have some apps that I want to get notifications from but they are not that urgent, I just put them on the scheduled summary and get them couple of times a day. Otherwise, only the apps from where I really need immediate notifications, I'll leave them on. The same goes here for location services. Make sure you take a look at the list of the apps you have here. Don't leave location services turned on for every app. Just go ahead, take a look at this list and just configure the location services for the apps that you have. Like precise location will use more battery, though most of the apps won't actually need your precise location unless it's a navigation app. So you can go ahead and choose while using the app or widgets if it has widgets, or you can just go ahead and switch to never if you don't need that app to have your location. Now, as you know, with iOS 18, Apple has also introduced these new widgets for the control center where you can add widgets now from third-party apps. And some of them, like this one right here, it is pretty cool, but it's an animated widget, which of course will require more battery to actually like do this thing that it's doing here. So you have basically just a fan, it has that animation and it's just moving around here. So anything that is always active will always of course consume more battery, so make sure that you don't actually use these kind of widgets if you don't really need them. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and of course subscribe for more videos, and I will see you on the next one.